Rising concern over the misuse of AI in the elections in the US is leading a lot of states to bringing in their own laws to deal with this, at the very least to bring oversight over possible misuse. The federal government is making its own plans, but there is no federal law in place yet. But could the very multiplicity of these moves create its own difficulties, create overlaps that could be taken advantage of, or loopholes that would be difficult to plug?
A lot of states across the United States are considering bills that would regulate the way that AI will affect elections in the United States this year. Most of those states, the regulation does two things. One, it clarifies that deep fakes are considered manipulated media and that they will need to have transparency. Most states do not outright ban the use of deep fakes in electoral campaigning, and instead require that any manipulated elements of the video, whether it's manipulated by hand or by machine, needs to be disclosed in the ad or it is illegal.
In an ideal world, absolutely, we would want federal regulations on this as well, because it's worth noting not all of the states even have legislative session this year. So there is no way that all 50 states plus DC could pass a state law to address this issue.
Short of an effective law, policing by the major social media and AI companies could be critical.
There are a number of ways that we can try to impact the information environment to prevent the spread of mis and disinformation online. One of those ways is for the companies themselves to take action. On the generative AI side, the companies that are responsible for the tools that are producing this content should put in place user protections that stop their tools from generating deepfakes of politicians and manipulated AI content that can be used because it's about elections. Using coordinated and authentic behavior detection systems, the platforms can and should be actively monitoring and removing that content. But in order for them to do that, they really need to resource the trust and safety teams that are responsible for conducting those investigations and removing that content. And at the moment, what we've seen is that many of the platforms are downscaling their trust and safety teams and disinvesting in the tools and the techniques that are necessary to remove harmful content. That's something we'll really need to see that the platforms do this year to prevent mis and disinformation in major elections.
Would it be enough for most states to pass legislation? It will take, after all, just one person in one state without such legislation to then launch a deepfake that then floats freely and fast. And what would you do about individuals or agencies in another country? What could national laws do to stop those?
Some countries have regulations in place, but many do not. And so we do have to be thinking about, cross-country interactions and deepfakes that may be used by foreign actors. That is a real concern right now.
We know that bad actors are going to try to penetrate elections in the United States, elections in India, elections around the world this year. And there are a number of ways that policies can prevent that, right? One is coordinated and authentic behavior detection platform systems on social media platforms that identify when large networks of artificial accounts are linked together and use a variety of systems analysis tools to detect them and remove them.
Concerns over AI misuse are not, of course, confined to the US. Every country, particularly facing elections, and many are this year, will have this problem to contend with. And as it gets closer to election day, the difficulties mount, because that may not leave enough time to spot a deepfake and to reverse its impact.
Some of the most concerning signs have actually come from other countries. So a really concerning example that we saw just a couple of months ago took place in Slovakia, where in one of the major elections recently, an AI-generated deepfake was circulated within 2 days of their election. And in that deepfake, it showed one of the major party candidates discussing rigging the election. Now, he had never said that. He didn't want to rig the election, but it was circulated widely within 48 hours of the election, and it is believed that it may have influence the outcome of the election. And we're seeing that take place in other countries as well. And so certainly just looking at other countries like Argentina and Turkey, where there has been rampant use of AI deepfakes, it is not hard to imagine that happening in the US as well. And we are seeing AI deepfakes being used in the US